I'm Rabbi Jay Karzan.
And I'm Rabbanit Ruby Ray Karzan.
And Tape with Rabbi Doug is next.
We're going to see Rabbi Doug. We're going to see Rabbi Doug. We're going to see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight. But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're going to see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. Glad you could be with us today. We are here in Northbrook, Illinois at the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School offices. And I am here with three people from the Florence Melton Institute with Rabbi Morey Schwartz. Shalom Aleichem and Baruch Haba. He's here from Israel. He is the Director of Curriculum and Faculty Development. And as you know, this school is part of Hebrew University. And so you travel between Hebrew University and America doing this, working with the schools and the curriculum, correct?
Right, several times a year I'm here.
Great, great, great. And also with me is Rabbi Efrat Zarren-Zohar. She's the Regional Director in North America. She's from Miami, and she travels around the country helping coordinate everything along with all the schools. Is that correct?
Yes, and I also run the Miami School of Melton.
And you run the Miami School as well. And here in Chicago, Judy Kupchan, she is the Director of the North American Division of the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School. And welcome to the show. You're a Chicagoan here.
Absolutely.
And how did you get involved? Let me ask you first, Judy. How did you get involved with Florence Melton?
Well, I got involved as a teacher in the Florence Melton School many years ago, about 15 years ago. And I was teaching teachers, I was teaching educators, and I really loved the curriculum and loved the experience of teaching our educators in the community something that had real content, that had real Jewish content, and that would help our teachers grow, not just pedagogically, but help them grow in terms of expanding their understanding of Judaism so that they in turn could become better teachers.
Now let me ask you, if I could, Efrat, how do your positions not overlap? Your position is called Regional Director of North America, and she's the Director of the North American Division. What are your separate duties in those positions?
So I work half-time overseeing several other sites up and down the East Coast, and I'm like an educational consultant from Melton to them to make sure that they maintain Melton quality, Melton standards, that everything's being done well in the schools, and to also provide help to them to make sure that they have what they need to make the best possible Melton school. And half of my time, I'm the Director of Adult Learning at the Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education in Miami, which is Federation's educational arm, and our signature program is the Melton School in Miami, which is the largest Melton school in the world today.
So is the Melton School part of the Miami Federation?
It's part of the beneficiary agency of the Federation, which is our central agency for It's Center for the Advancement of Jewish Education.
And we also have two other regional directors, Sue Parker-Gerson, who is also the director of the Melton School in Denver, and also works with sites as Efrat does, and Annie Glickman, who lives in Dallas and works with many different schools in the Midwest and the Texas area.
So each one gets, you each have a region that you're responsible for?
More or less.
I understand. So tell me about, let me just bring us back to Chicago for a moment if I could. Chicago has its own Florence Melton Adult Mini-School,
yes.
And there is a principal or director of that sets up the classes and teachers here in Chicago where people can go and sign up for classes and take classes. Adults who are very learned, adults who are not very learned, and people who are just searching for their Judaism.
Well, there are two Melton schools in Chicago. There's one school at the Board of Jewish Education, which is primarily a school for educators, people who are teaching in some setting, some Jewish setting.
Whether it's a Jewish day school or a Hebrew school or a Sunday school.
An early childhood center, that sort of thing, exactly. And then there's also the Community Foundation for Jewish Education, where they have classes both in Northfield as well as in the city at Anshe Emet. And the one school, the CFJE school, the director you asked about is Rabbi Yehoshua ben Avraham. The director of the BJE school is Raleigh Cohen.
Great.
And they invite people of all different kinds of backgrounds to come and study in Melton. You have people who have absolutely no Jewish education at all, never had a learning experience at all, to people who may be traditional Jews, people who are following certain practice, but they never really understood why. They never really studied the text from our tradition or really understood the text that inform those practices.
Morey, you're part of the Hebrew University connection to the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School and work with curriculum. How do you work, and do you work with a committee? How do you work and decide, I think we should choose these texts, I think for beginners we should do this, I think for advanced people we should do this, or offer these courses? That obviously has to come from somewhere on what courses are being offered and what's the right thing to attract people. How do those things come about?
It's actually a great question. I've been working with the mini-school for about 8 or 9 years now. And part of when I began the job was to try to formulate exactly an answer to that question. How are we going to decide what we should, at that point, what should be the continuing education program? So we actually, in that case, brought together a group of experts, had a consultation in New York, discussion back and forth, what we should do, and came to a conclusion as to sort of what the course of study should look like for advanced study, which gave birth to what we call our scholars curriculum. That's our graduate program. The other 4 courses, which we call our core curriculum, Rhythms of Jewish Living, Purposes of Jewish Living, Ethics of Jewish Living, and Dramas of Jewish Living throughout the ages, those 4 courses, those are our core basic courses. They've been around in one form or another for many years, and so that even preceded my coming to the organization. I had the opportunity to teach those courses, a number of them, when I lived in Kansas City for about 5 years and got very familiar with them. Essentially, what do we want to do? We want to take people where they're at, give them some basic texts, which, when I say basic, let's just say foundational biblical text very often, and then guide them from the biblical text to rabbinic texts, to medieval texts, modern texts. We're also looking in our curriculum to provide a variety of perspectives on issues, not just one perspective, but a pluralistic perspective. So very often, we give them, in any given lesson, not just one way of looking at the subject, but 2 or 3 different ways of looking.
And it's all non-denominational. We're not saying that this is for Reform people, or this is for conservative people, or this is for Orthodox people. This is for Jewish people.
That's right. That's
And
right.
Actually, all 3 of us, if you think about the 3 of us sitting here, I mean, Morey comes from an Orthodox, is an Orthodox rabbi. I'm ordained as a Reform rabbi. Judy is conservative Jew. I mean, in other words, and trained at JT. We all come from different, and we work together in I think, a seamless trans-denominational way, because much of the future of Judaism is going to be in that format, and Melton is a perfect vehicle to help people achieve what they want within the tradition in a trans-denominational way.
Now, being part of Hebrew University, is there a way for people to get college credit for any courses that they take in Melton, or is that kind of outside of what the plans are?
We're a project of the Hebrew University, so at this point, right, we're adult education, which one of the aspects of our schools that we don't ask our students to do any homework, not to write any papers, no research. Essentially, they come to class for the 2 hours that they're with us. They're involved and engaged in learning. So at this point, we don't have a mechanism really for giving them college credit. But there have been some really creative ways in other places of looking for teachers, at least being able to use this as continuing education credit. So that's been done.
And I think one of the things that we've learned from our students is that they're really not looking for credit. This is something that they do for themselves because they really want to know more. And even for our students who are teachers themselves, who might get CEUs or additional credits, there are ways for them to do that. They really see this as totally shema time for myself to learn. Just that, just that, no more. So it's really, it's very inspiring, really, that teachers sometimes at the end of a very busy day are willing to come, and other adults who are very busy with all kinds of walks of life take the time to really expand their learning and
Judy, being that this is a nonprofit organization and for the Jewish community, is it supported by a donation to tuition, or is it supported by donors on the outside who are supporting this, or by Hebrew University? How do you pay your teachers? How do you do all these things? Obviously, there's a big expense, and you're in a beautiful office right now that you have to do your business office and make sure that the school runs. How do you do that? Does it come from all sources?
Melton is a franchise, and all of our schools, our 48 schools around the world, pay a franchise fee, and our budget here in North America is built on the franchises from all these different communities.
And they collect tuition and get donations themselves as part of the nonprofit franchise?
Yes.
Yes,
exactly.
Very, very interesting. So another question for you, Judy, that's been on my mind is, give me a roundhouse figure in America, because I wouldn't ask outside North America from you. How many adults right now, or let's say last year, because we're entering a new school year, so you might not have that figure yet, attended in the last year the mini-school?
We've had about, and the number's been relatively stable over the last few years, we have about 5,000 students studying in Melton, actually around the world. That's a little more than about 1,200, 1,500 students in our core program, what Morey described as our 2-year program. And then we have the rest are graduate students studying in our scholars program and participating in our Israel seminar, which is also an amazing learning experience in Israel.
You know, there's in Chicago itself, there are a lot of Balei Tshuva programs and yeshiva programs and adult programs from different Jewish organizations that offer people a course here, a course there, come in one night a week, whatever. Can you do that with Melton? Can you come and say, I just want to take this one course for a few months, you know, to get a little bit of Jewish learning in because I feel guilty I'm not learning? Is that going on, Morey?
You know, it's a very timely question because up until very recently, the way we did business, and we really believe in it strongly, to this day we still believe in it, that we're trying to give our students a sense of Jewish literacy, and we sense that and the Jewish literacy comes with an investment of time. And our students, when they finish after 2 years, they really sense that they've accomplished something. So until very recently, that was pretty much how we did business. But we've just begun to move in other directions to accommodate the needs of students who are saying, I can't commit to 2 years of study. So very recently, we, as an example, we put together a 4-lesson course called Modern Living, Maintaining Balance. And the goal was to give people who don't want to commit to a big chunk of time to come in and get a taste of what this is about. Ultimately, our hope is that even if they come and get a taste, they'll want to really, commit to the long term, because we don't think there's any substitute for that.
Great. So let's go outside of North America, Morey, and tell us what other countries or big cities around the world are hosting a Florence Melton Adult Mini-School.
So we've had a mini-school for many years in London, England, and also in Leeds. For many years also we've had a school in Sydney, Australia, and in Melbourne, Australia. And just a number of years ago we brought on board a very, very successful school in Cape Town, South Africa. I've had the privilege of being in the Melbourne school and in the Cape Town school, and it's quite a thrill. People around the world studying our curriculum and sensing that it's really changing their lives. And
we're just about to open a new school in New Zealand.
Great. It's just great. Well, I think that people want to see a little bit, so we're going to pause for a moment for all of our viewers to take a look at the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School in action, and take a look and stay with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. This is the Florence Melton Mini-School.
Throughout our long history, Jews have always searched for ways to understand our people and our religion. Jewish learning is our heritage, and this heritage is ours to claim. With over 25,000 graduates today in 60 communities worldwide, the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School offers Jewish adults the opportunity to study Judaism in a non-denominational, comprehensive, and serious way. Taught by expert teachers, the 2-year curriculum of the mini-school is developed by scholars at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. The 4 courses are taught in an interactive style where the voices of our students blend with the texts that have spoken to our people for 4 millennia. Students learn about the Jewish calendar and life cycle, the ideas and philosophy of Judaism, the ethics of Jewish living, and the dramas of Jewish history. The dream of Florence Melton to provide outstanding Jewish learning for adults is a reality in the school that bears her name. Our students are best at describing the experience of learning in the mini-school, and their journey can become your journey.
I have to say that My Jewish education basically ended when I graduated from Sunday school, except for the reading of an occasional novel or, attendance at synagogue. So I decided to, sign up for the Melton program, and have found it to be very, very enriching. And everybody I talk to loves it.
My wife originally interested me in the program because she thought it would be very healthy for us to do this together. It would make us better parents and would help us establish a Jewish household in the 21st century.
My mom had taken the class in Kansas City and loved it and kept raving about it, so we figured it was a good opportunity for us here in Portland.
Some of my hesitation about being in Melton was that I felt I hadn't really come from that much of a Jewish background. I was like a person who doesn't want to go to the gym until they've been to another gym and look better.
I think the main reason I'm taking the class is both my daughters attend Jewish preschool, and they come home with information about things I didn't know, and I'm ashamed that I didn't know it, and I decided I wanted to take a class.
There are a couple things that struck me about what it means to be a parent in the Jewish religion. And if you look back in the V'ahavta, it talks about teaching these words to your children. In the Passover Seder, we learned about what it means to not just tell the story, but to teach it with your children. It opened our eyes to how much of Judaism is oriented around involving your children. There's a lot that occurs in a synagogue, but I think there's so much more that occurs in the home. And the Melton class, I think, opened my eyes to much of that.
Well, taking it as a couple, I mean, when you leave, it's not like you go home and you have no one to talk to. We're able to keep the conversations going. There were many nights on the way home, because we had gotten here in 2 different cars, we'd drive home on the cell phone and just keep the conversation going and talking about whether it's right or wrong or why. And
Sunday, we spend an hour and a half preparing. We talk about it, So I'm sure it will affect our lives.
And we've never done that before. Sit down and talk about a religion or study together. So it's fun.
Sure, I go to High Holy Day services. Sure, I partake of the importance of those days. But this year in particular, with my daughter and 4 generations of family at Shul, the whole day. And realizing that there was a structure and a reason why we do Nila, a reason why we do certain things. And I think Melton helped me to understand the importance and the intention of that.
I think our education, religious education, sort of ended usually at the time we were 12 or 13 years old, and this was an opportunity to learn material, some of which was repetitive, holidays and some of the Bible stories, but to learn it on an adult level with more depth.
It's not just you read the Torah text and then discuss, but then you go to the various rabbis from the Middle Ages who wrote commentaries on certain texts, and it's just so much more enlightening.
So many of the concepts in our Torah are really more sophisticated and really need to be delved into as an adult would to uncover the many layers of meaning.
And certainly all the teachers are phenomenally knowledgeable and very nurturing and very supportive, even when our questions may be out of left field.
And it was very interactive. It wasn't just listening to the instructor. The instructor would ask the questions, prompt us, and guide us. In the old model, when I was growing up in Hebrew school, the teacher was what we called a sage on a stage. And at Melton, the instructor really was a guide at your side.
You meet great people, you get all kinds of viewpoints, but because it's so focused in text and really interesting readings, it helps you to have a structure to approach a lot of these questions that you may have thought about in the past or text you've read, but it's a very, very cohesive program, and I would commend it to anybody. I really can't say enough about it.
I'm still learning. I feel no matter what your age, there's no point after which you don't have to study. Not if you want to continue to live and be part of the society in which we grow up in.
Oh, it's well worth the time you put into it. It's well worth it. You will be enriched, and it'll be forever with you, and you'll want to do more and more.
Hi, I'm Chazan Alberto Mizrahi, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
Welcome back. We're here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. I'm here with Judy Kupchan, with Rabbi Efrat Zarren-Zohar and Rabbi Morey Schwartz, all of the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School, and from Israel to the regions of America to the North American division, and all three of you do so much for Melton, and it's so important. But who was Florence Melton, and how did this all start? Judy, you want to give us a little background to start?
Sure. Yes, with pleasure. Florence was quite a lady. All of us knew her in her lifetime, and she was extraordinary.
When did she pass away?
In her 90s.
Approximately?
A few years ago.
A few years ago, okay.
She was an extraordinary person, extraordinary thinker. She was an inventor. She had 22 patents to her name.
Can you tell us what a couple of them were?
Well, she invented things that related to, that used foam rubber. So she was one of the first people to invent shoulder pads for women, and she started deer foam slippers, which I'm sure is a popular product, and still continuing today. And the firm that she started, R.G. Berry, is publicly traded today. So she was a great inventor, and she saw a great need to bring Jewish education to adults. She saw a lot going on with Jewish education for children.
Efrat was telling me before we started the show, you said she lived in Columbus?
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio, and she herself was searching?
Yes. When she retired at the age of 70, she was a very wealthy woman, and rather than be a lady who lunches, she decided that she really wanted to go back to school and learn. She was married at the time to Sam Melton, who was a very strong presence in the Jewish educational world and all over the world. And so in addition to his influence on her educationally, she was searching personally. And when she didn't find what she needed, like a good businesswoman, a good inventor, she invented, she filled the gap in the market and
Judy,
created this.
What did she do as far as starting the school?
Well, she, through the connection that Sam had at the Hebrew University Melton Center for Jewish Education in the Diaspora, she persuaded them to take her proposal seriously, which was to create an adult learning school. A lot of people had told her that nobody will do this, adults don't have any any spare time to give to learning, but at Hebrew U they took her seriously, and they started a pilot program in Chicago and in New York. And lo and behold, there were people who were interested in doing just this kind of very serious, sequential, inspiring, meaningful learning. And that's where it all started.
Wow, wow, wow. Tell me, with as far as how did a curriculum center start for, you know, we want to start this, let's get some teachers, let's put a school together for what she wanted and start these pilot plans. How did a whole franchise come about as far as, you know, building a curriculum and making it, you know, to what we were talking about?
Right, so, you know, in the Melton Center at Hebrew University, they brought together a number of experts in terms of people who knew how to write curriculum, had ideas. People gave their ideas, and then in each case, at any given time, they hired usually one writer, and the writer would write and then share the ideas with other writers. In certain courses that we have, there were multiple authors that put the courses together. Then what was very exciting over the years, you know, the materials would go out there, and the faculty would be asked to give their feedback in terms of how's it working, what's happening with it. And that feedback, this is part of our whole culture, the feedback from our faculty is taken very seriously, and it has tremendous impact on the ongoing development of our curriculum, which is a wonderful system and continues to this day to be just like we just revised one of our main courses and finished it 2 weeks ago, and it was a 3-year process based mostly on faculty and student feedback.
Does the changing of courses come about based on who signed up for them? They were popular, they weren't popular? How do you decide those things?
No, it's a wonderful question because it's not based on it all. They continue, they're all popular. The changes are because interests change. There are more text being written out there. We learn from faculty in the field that this text would work better than that text, and so we're very open to making adjustments. We don't make them annually, But on an ongoing basis, we're continuing to review our materials, react to the faculty. We want to create the best product possible.
Great. Judy, how do we get the word that the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School is out there and available for the people in Chicago and for the people around the world? Because I would guarantee that of the thousands of people who are watching our show throughout, you know, not only on TV here in the Chicagoland area and suburbs, but on the internet and YouTube and all the places that it airs, how do we get the word out? Because I'll bet that most of them never heard of the Florence Melton Adult Jewish Mini-School.
Well, we hope that's going to change now. I would send you to our website, which is www.fmams.org.il. And on that website, you can see where all of our schools are located, and you can also see this wonderful new 1-minute video that tells is a little bit of a marketing piece about trying to tell more wondering Jews. We call this adult learning for wondering Jews, about what they can study with Melton. It takes the viewer to a Facebook page, so they can hook up.
Well, we only have a couple of minutes left. Efrat, you supervise teachers and go around and see. What do you think is the most exciting part of working from on top rather than in the classroom with those teachers? What do you think your favorite part of that is?
I would say the teachers love teaching Melton because they can really see the results in the classroom. They see how much students love the experience, and the curriculum itself really helps them do what they want to do best, which is to communicate a love and passion for Judaism in a very open, not judgmental way. And the curriculum is built precisely for that purpose, so it gives them everything they need, and then on top of that, they bring their passion, they bring their knowledge, they bring their specific personality. It makes the teacher's life so easy. Plus, we insist on really quality control in terms of the teaching. We help teachers be better, not only through the curriculum, but we ask them to be interactive. We ask them to be pluralistic and text-based. We help them be better teachers in general, and we work in terms of faculty development on that very strongly.
Great. Morey, and just in closing, what happens when someone finishes for 2 years? What is it? Is there something? Yeah, what is next?
You know, it used to be that our whole goal was they'd finish in 2 years, and then they go off into the wild blue yonder of Jewish education.
Do they get a degree? Is there a degree?
No, there's a certificate from the Hebrew University they get establishing that they've finished. But what's most important to them is the sense of accomplishment, and what we learned was they wanted to continue with us. They wanted to stay with us, and so over the past about 6 years, we've developed a whole set of scholarship of curriculum called the Scholars Curriculum.
That's what it is for people who's graduated the 2 years.
Yeah, they want to stay in their learning community. These people bond as students together in a very, very special way.
Oh, great. Well, I want to thank you all so much. Wish you much hatzlacha, success with the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School around the world, and Hebrew University should continue to support such programs as this. I want to thank you, Rabbi Morey Schwartz, Rabbi Efrat Zarren-Zohar, and Judy Kupchan, all of the Florence Melton Adult Mini-School, and I want to thank all of you for being with us. Remember, you can check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com, where you can find links to our guests and also watch past shows on the web. And if you want to email us or email any of them, you can email me at info@tvrabbi.com. I will be happy to forward your email, and I know that any of these three will get back to you. Remember, we're on every week at this time, so hope to see you next time right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.